thank you so much. So we've reached the middle of the proceedings that have been happening since the morning, and I thought that at this time it's quite prudent to bring in the Deputy Director General at the Department of Small Business Development, Ms. Qinisile Delwa, to come and give us an update of what's been happening. I know I've been speaking to you about it, but there are some other things that have been happening on the sidelines that we were not privy to or able to attend, and I thought if I bring her here, she'll at least give us and put us up to speed about where we are now, as this is the second and last day of the G20 engagement that's currently happening. Ms. Delwa, thank you so much for making time to speak to us here at the SABC channel. Give us a rundown of today. Today's the last day. We have now reached time. People actually are going out for lunch. What have you achieved?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think today is about alignment. I think the speakers who have been giving an update earlier would have said there are different task forces that are looking at very different topics around startup support. So what we've spent the day doing today is making sure that there is alignment across the different topics, whether it's financial support, access to market, but also alignment in terms of the needs of startups in the different countries in the G20. So we've spent a lot of time making sure that it's not only about South Africa, it's about the experiences of startups across the world, and how then can we come up with a powerful message to the Leaders Summit around startups that resonates with startups in all the G20 countries.
Which topics do you think stood out the most? I know for me what stood out the most was the issue around funding and innovative funding, but what stood out the most for you?
Well, I think what is important and very interesting is that across the different G20 countries, we are all saying the funding is not really the problem. The problem is the pipeline of ready startups to access that funding. And this speaks to what we've been saying about business development support and entrepreneurial support to the up and coming, so that by the time that they are at the point where they have to access funding, they have the right proposal and the right product that they have been supported to develop, so that it can be fundable or that is funding ready.
Yeah, I've been speaking to a couple of people on the sidelines, just to get their feel of the event and how they see it. And one thing, someone said to me, I wish we could change the language that we speak, because it's not just about South Africa, and it's so easy for us as South Africans to get carried away. For instance, when we talk about rural and township economies, we cannot assume that everyone that is within the G20 and is here knows what we are talking about. I suppose these are hurdles that we still need to get over. How do we, start to rectify those small little things?
Yes, I think that is a criticism that we take as a country, because I think we spend a lot of time talking about our own problems. What we don't understand is that the problems we are experiencing are global in nature and form, and so the language stops to be very South African centric if we interact with our peers across. So they have given us that feedback, which was very good feedback, and they do have the same problems. It's just that in Brazil they call it a favela, and here we call it a township. So, but as long as we can find common language across the countries, the problems and the context is almost similar, especially for the developing South.
All right. So, as I prepare to let you go, just give us a rundown of what to expect for the rest of the day.
Well, for the rest of the day, I think the task forces after this alignment are now going to have another session. What we are anticipating is a very strong proposal to the Leaders Summit around what startup and SMME support should be in G20 countries. And that is what we'll be busy with leading up to November. We do hope that we will see SMMEs and startups in the final outcome of the overall G20. And we are working with all the countries towards that.
And tomorrow?
Tomorrow we are starting a different event. It's the Global SME Ministerial, which it's an inaugural, which we are bringing ministers responsible for small business from across the world, all the UN countries. They are going to be here, and we are really starting as South Africa to make sure that issues of SMMEs or MSMEs rather take global stage, and then there is a forum globally where we sit with ministers as policymakers and make this program to be at the UN level, as other departments and other portfolios also have, because we do think that this space is going to unlock a lot of economic potential for the countries globally, especially for the African continent.
Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. That is Deputy Director General Qinisile Delwa. She's from the Department of Small Business Development, giving us a rundown on what to expect for the rest of the day. But something to look forward to is tomorrow, when that SMME Ministerial Dialogue starts, because those platforms are quite important, because you get to hear, what other countries are doing, how they're doing it better, what can we copy, what can we emulate, and what they can emulate from us as well.